So now that we're in our program, this is what it looks like. So here we have our canvas. So anything that we record is going to be shown in this canvas, and in a little bit we'll be able to resize and create new scenes. So scenes are the meat of everything in this program. So we can create very complicated scenes with lots of video sources or graphic sources if we're streaming. It just depends on the purpose of our video. For our purposes, since we are just creating instructional material, we don't want to overcomplicate things for our students. Our scenes are going to be very limited. So we may have one scene with our desktop and a webcam, which is what we're doing in this setup. We're going to have our desktop as our background and our webcam showing up here in the bottom right hand corner. So sources are the different types of media that we can implement into our scene. We have our audio mixer, so audio channels, and as we talk you can see it move. So red means it's peaking, it's very loud. We want to try to keep things in the green to yellow range. Scene transition, so if we had multiple scenes and we select to jump to a new scene, this is the transition it would undertake, which in the default case is a fade, but you can also cut, so there wouldn't be just a little fade effect. And then our controls, so we can start streaming, start recording. Studio mode allows a preview screen and then the current view of what's out. Since we won't have multiple scenes, just the regular mode is fine. We have our settings and then exit. So in our settings, I'm going to make something a little bit easier on my end. This next step is totally optional. So when I click settings, I'm going to come down to my hotkeys. And I'm looking for this start recording, stop recording. So if I click here, wrong one. If I click here and then I type in a key combination, this will allow me to start and stop recording without having to find a red button or find the drop-down menu in the file menu. So because I'm using a keyboard with a number pad on the right-hand side, I'm going to use a number 5 as my start recording, and then the number 5 again to stop recording. So every time I hit the number 5 on my number pad, it should start and stop my video recording. So I'm going to hit apply and OK. So now we're going to get our scene set up. So you can rename this in case you want to have multiple scenes. So I'm going to rename this to desktop with webcam. So you could have a scene where it was just your desktop or just a webcam. And so I do this to differentiate the different sources that I have going on. So under my source panel, I don't have any right now, so I need to go in and find some. So I'm going to click this plus button, so that means I'm going to add a source. And what I'm looking to do is add my screen, my computer screen. So I'm going to select display capture and create new, since I don't have any existing, and if I did, they would be available here. And so I'm going to label this monitor 1. If you have multiple monitors, you can set them up so that way they record just your second monitor, just your third monitor, or all 3 monitors. Since I only have 1 monitor on this system, I don't need to rename it. However, out of habit and good organization, I do. So I'm going to click OK. And now we can see how everything on my screen is appearing here. So like I said, if you had multiple displays, they would all show here. So because I only have one, my primary monitor is the default and is automatically selected. So I'm going to click OK. And so we have this red bounding box. They showed us the size on our canvas. So this black area is our entire canvas. So we do have it set to record in high definition. Our monitor doesn't quite take up that much space. So we can resize, which is what I'm doing now, just by dragging the red outline down to fill the whole canvas. And now I'm going to add my webcam. So I'm going to add, just via the little plus button, a video capture device. Create a new video capture. I'm going to label this webcam 1. I do have 2 webcams connected to this system right now, so I need to differentiate. So this one that was auto-detected, this live cam, is the one that is being used in the secondary software. So the one I want for OBS is this HD Pro webcam. So I'm going to select that one, and it should auto-detect me right here. If it doesn't, you may need to activate or configure video, but 9 times out of 10 it will auto-detect. Everything looks good. Again, the defaults for the most part are good to use. And I'm just going to hit OK. So again, my webcam now has this bounding box right here. And I don't want it in the top left corner. I want to move it down to the bottom right. So I'm able to just click and drag to the bottom right hand corner. Again, we can resize, make it bigger, or make it smaller. So this is good for presentations if you have a PowerPoint or Google slide, or you're trying to explain a concept and you still want the students to see and interact and get that human presence. You can leave your webcam on just in the bottom corner and they would be able to see you while not obstructing the view of the presentation. So now that we have this scene set up, we will do a second one without the webcam, so that way we can explain what it would look like in a presentation. So to add a second scene, I'm just going to name this one desktop. And so I don't have any sources, so I'm going to click add, display capture, and since I already have my desktop as one of my sources, I'm just going to click add existing, so that way I don't have to resize, I don't have to change anything, and select monitor 1. Click OK. So now my monitor is present. I can, in this case, resize since that setting didn't come over. And now my monitor is on the screen without my webcam, which we had here. So if I were to have a presentation open, I can see that it's visible right here in the corner. And if I were to switch my scene, I have the presentation, and I know that my webcam is still recording here at the bottom. So I'm going to close out. And now I'm actually going to record. I'm not going to update my Flash player. So I want to make sure that I have audio working and my webcam. And it looks like my webcam isn't, or the audio from my webcam isn't being picked up. However, I do have a secondary audio source, which I can look at, that is picking up audio, and I can check which mic it is by selecting the Properties tab. And it says default. I'm going to switch my audio to this, the microphone from my webcam, and select OK to see that now it's picking up. So it looks like now I have two audio sources being used at the same time. So I'm going to start recording by hitting the start recording button. I'm going to minimize. And I know I'm recording because I have this little OBS Studio icon in the bottom right hand corner next to my time, and a little red record button to the left of the icon. So I'm going to open up my presentation. Just kind of expand it. And so if I were recording an actual video or an intro video, I could have my presentation open in, looks like presentation view. So my name is Ashley Pratt. This is the Online Learning Teaching Excellence Awards. And then I could just go through my presentation, escape, and stop my recording. And so I hit F5 in order to stop my recording. I'm going to click out of this presentation. Again, close out of all of these updates it wants me to do. So now that I've done my first recording, if I come up to File, Show Recordings, I can see that my recordings get placed into the Videos folder. And it is in an MKV extension. So for the purposes of uploading to YouTube or into our LMS, MP4 is a better file option. And OBS does give us the option to convert our files from MKV or FLV, which are both the default file types for OBS, into MP4. So in order to do this, I'm back in OBS, and I'm going to click File, Remux Recordings. Now I'm going to hit the three dots on the right hand side under OBS Recording and navigate to my videos folder. So it brings it up by default, and I'm going to hit this video that we just did. So the file name for the videos, it defaults to your date and time dot either MKV or FLV. So here I can see 2019 October 14th at 14:24:02 p.m. So I select that and I hit open. And so it knows that I want to take this video and turn it into an MP4 file. So all I have to do is click Remux. If I had multiple videos, I could select them all and it would convert them all automatically, like in a group. But since it's just the one, it'll just be the one here. So I hit Remux, couple seconds, and it's done. I can X out of here. And now I have my video here. I have VLC installed, and I will link to it within our course. And it's a video player that I highly recommend because it opens pretty much every video file type. So here's my, I'm going to recording.
And I know I'm recording because I have this little OBS Studio icon in the bottom right-hand corner next to my time, and a little red.
So, because I placed my webcam video in the bottom right-hand corner, you weren't able to see the little icon, but it should be there. And if you are on Mac, it'll be in your top bar. And so I can go through and I see that I have my presentation that I opened up. And as I present it, and I'm just speeding along, I'm able to present the presentation and my webcam is still down here. So if you are using OBS to present or to critique student work, this is a great way for you to have it set up, because then you can have the student work displayed large and then you're down here, so that way they are able to see your facial reactions and nonverbal cues whenever they're watching their videos with their critiques. So I'm going to X out since this video I know is good. And I'm going to minimize here. And I'm going to close out of OBS since I've successfully created my recording. So I'm just going to hit exit.